Hi Sukwant, I see you again, or you see me again. So we're gonna have Alex joining us in a minute. So he's French, so he's usually on time. Thank you, Sukwant. So we thought it would be a good session to talk about the pros and cons of tennis in the US. And Alex has a company which does this placement services, and he has a lot of information that he can share. So I think it'll be a good session. Let's see. How to find a girl then? Hi Alex.
Let's see.
There you are.
How's it going? All good?
It's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock sharp, on time. You all right?
Bang on time.
Bang on time. Perfect.
Yeah.
So how's it going in Chennai? You're in Chennai now, right?
Yeah, it's hot. It's
Hot.
really hot, but we're not going out. We're in the house, so not really feeling it much.
Okay.
But usually this time of the year, it's quite bad in Chennai. Yeah.
Okay. Is it
And
humid right now, or a lot of
pardon
humidity,
me?
or is it very
Yes,
humid
yes,
right now? Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Chennai
yeah,
is
yeah.
always humid. It's
Right.
90
I
plus
mean,
always.
the few times I came in and saw you there, it was always humid, so I assume.
Yes, yes, yeah. And where are you now? Where is your home? In Delhi or
So
Portugal or
the
France?
Look, the last time I met you when we were in Kolkata for the future
Yeah,
tournament, I was with
yes,
Maxime there.
yeah,
Then what happened is after that tournament got cancelled midweek, I went to Dehradun for the
okay,
ITF Junior, but then it
okay,
got cancelled on the Friday, the day before the qualies. So then I came back to
yeah,
Delhi where my partner was she was working here, and I
okay,
spent 2 days, and then my flight back to Portugal to the academy got cancelled. So here I
okay.
am still in Delhi. It's been
The-
like 2 months, So yeah. I'll see whenever the flights are starting again. I'll go back to the academy. But
Okay.
for now I'm here. So same kind of weather, not humid but very hot. Same.
Your
Yeah.
partner is happy, I'm sure.
Yeah. She's a lot of work as well for her.
No, because your flight got cancelled, I meant.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I'm happy to, honestly, it would have been terrible anyway. Like, I think anywhere in the world the past 2 months, I would have been stuck, not be able
Yeah,
to really go out or anything. So, though
yeah,
Portugal, we got quite lucky because it wasn't so badly affected. We did close the academy for a little while.
okay,
Now it's been reopened for like the past 2 weeks, but
okay.
overall we're pretty lucky. I think India, it's really tough, right? We don't see the end of the
Yeah,
lockdown. So
yeah, that's true.
let's see.
So to everybody who's here already, you probably know Alex because he's been in India for the last 4 years. He's come in so many times, and he gave a presentation also in Goa in the National Coaches Workshop. He runs an academy called the Class Academy in Portugal. It's a lovely setup. You should see the infrastructure. It's just amazing. And he was a player in the US college tennis. He went on scholarship, and he has a lot of connections in the US, and he's been doing this for the last several years, this placement services, right? What do you call it?
Yeah. US
Yeah,
Athlete Services. So displacement
athlete
service.
services.
Yeah, nearly
Yes.
7 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of knows a lot of information about college tennis and all the things that a player needs to know if he has that as the vision for his future. So we have here Alex. So hello from everybody, Alex, on behalf of everybody here.
All right. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I see people connecting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
and
No, thank you Indian Tennis Daily as well for having us. It's nice. Yeah,
yeah,
it's nice. I mean, might as well use this lockdown to give information out and speak about
yeah,
different topics. I think every night almost there is an Instagram live on this page. It's amazing.
yeah. And Alex loves India. He loves Indian food. He loves Indian people. He loves everything about India.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been
Almost,
here.
almost.
I've been almost. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It's
Except the
been,
traffic.
yeah, the traffic now in Delhi is amazing. There is none. There's no pollution. So I'm actually loving Delhi. I used to not like
Yeah.
it that much, but now it's nice. Yeah.
Did you hear about this news that the overall death rate in India has really come down?
Yeah, I know, right?
Not the COVID. No,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's the overall death
Like
rate
the
in
overall.
India has
Yeah,
come down drastically.
yeah.
So it's
But
really something that they are amazed at.
yeah, I don't know. Is it due to less traffic accidents or less
Yeah, also,
pollution? I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, but I've heard of
yeah.
about that as well. Yeah,
I was just thinking about it. We have like 153,000 deaths every year in India on the
yeah,
road.
yeah,
Okay, and that explains the chaotic traffic that we have. Now, I
yeah,
was just thinking, for a virus, they took so much effort
yeah.
and to settle these things, if they
Uh-huh.
can take 10% of the effort to streamline the traffic, make everybody follow rules,
Yeah,
I think in 2 months, everything will be clean and neat.
yeah.
I don't
I
know
think
the problems involved. I'm just thinking like a layman.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
hard. I mean, I was on the road last week, and I thought as well, like the streets are really empty, but people are still like in a rush of something,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
actually people should just be enjoying the ride right now because it's pretty empty. It's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess
You're
it is how
lucky.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. So we don't want to keep the people here waiting. So
Sure.
let's get on to the subject of college tennis.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Uh,
course.
so so I have some questions. Like we can everybody who's here, you can shoot your questions, and I'll start asking them, to Alex and try to get your doubts cleared. Before we go there, um, you went to US on a scholarship, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And can you describe your experience of going there and playing tennis and how it helped you and things like that?
Yeah. Best 4 years in my life in
Okay.
so many aspects. I mean, see, for a French person, I mean by that, non-English speaker. The French people usually pretty bad in English. The only reason I'm speaking with you right now in English is because I went to the US. So for me and for lots of my players from France, that's the first big advantage that you get. You learn the language. But for anybody else, including Indian students who already speak English, I think the amazing part is that you get so open-minded. It's a complete different culture. And in tennis, already on any American campus, but especially in a tennis team, you meet people from all around the world. I mean, tennis is so international. The teams there are so international. Some teams have like 1 or 2 Americans out of 10 players.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, yeah, I really love that. And I love the fact that I could continue playing tennis at a high level without putting aside the studies. Because when I left there, I was a good junior in France, but by no means I thought I would be top 100 ATP one day. So that was the perfect balance, because I was also so into tennis and good enough to want to continue play. But if I would have stayed home and go to university in France, I would have
Yes.
had to put the racket on the side. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
at least 50%, off. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So you made the point right now. So this is something that I know there are a lot of positives in going to US on a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I also feel if someone believes when they are 18 and they're already making some inroads into the futures,
Yeah.
then going to college, you're basically postponing that and you're making it difficult. Like basically, I believe that you go to college at 18 or 19,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then you
After finishing
finish
12.
4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
usually the pathway to professional tennis, like if you want to make it top 100, that is professional. Anything
Yeah.
outside top 100, maybe here and there up to 200, but
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
200, it's not something that you're going to make money in,
Right.
or you can call it a profession. So
Uh-huh.
you start at 18, 19, you need to spend 2 to 3 years in the futures,
Yeah.
and then another couple of years in the challenger before you
Yeah.
get to the tour level, and then looking up into getting into the top 100. Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
get to the tour level, of course, you're on the top
Yeah. Yeah.
100.
Of course.
Yeah. But there's also another route for players who are in countries like France or
Yeah.
Germany or the top tennis countries, you know, where you have so many challenges and so many futures.
Yeah.
So if you are a junior, or if you're a very good player, you get wild cards into these challenges directly, and some people just bypass the futures at all. They just play a few tournaments, they play a few challenges, and boom, they're up there. And being in India, it's a big disadvantage, you know. You have to go through the futures, then you have to go through the challenges, and then get to the tour level. So in that case, would you advise someone who's 18, 19, who's already making inroads in the futures, to go to college and then come back and then start futures again?
Look, I would say it really depends. It's a case by case, right? So your question is actually, in my opinion, going to matter for a very, very small percentage of all the players out there, you know? Probably only, as you said, you're asking the question for players maybe who are already playing, you were saying, main draw in futures, right? Or maybe players who are, say, ranked top 50 ITF junior or top 100, right?
Yes.
In my opinion, only these players should hesitate. Because if you're not at that level, you definitely should go to the US. But now, to answer your question, even these players that are already on track, let's say on track, okay, to become professional, I think what's really difficult is, as you said, you end up spending on average, at least 3 years, but I think more like close to 5 years in the jungle. I call the jungle those futures we were at, Kolkata, everywhere, travel all around the world, play those tournaments where you don't make money, you lose money, it's hard, and you're not even sure to make it out and go on to the challenger afterwards. I think for those players, the big advantage to go to college is that they're going to improve for 4 years. They're going to get more mature naturally because, you know, they'll get older, right? So for 3-4 years, they'll put the whole professional thing on pause. They'll get a degree, live this experience. If they are at a good level, they get recruited by some of the top schools in the country where the level is incredibly high. The competition that they'll play is incredibly high. It's like level top 500 ATP every day in the teams, okay? The kind of level they play at the top of Division 1. And after 4 years, they have the option. They can go on the tour, or they can continue and work if they don't want to turn pro. But I think the big advantage is they're still 21, 22 years old, which is quite young. You look at the average of the top 100 ATP, it's nearly 28 years old nowadays. And at that moment, if you have the level, you'll break through this future jungle very quickly. And you have examples of players. I have a bunch of examples in France. In India, the latest one you could use is Arjun Kade from Pune, who, after finishing at Oklahoma State, took less than 1 year to go from no ranking or around thousands to the top, I think, 400. It took him no time. And me being from Europe, in Europe, my friends knowing I come to India and I manage some Indian players, they've asked me about Arjun when he started playing pro. They were like, who's this guy? It took him no time to make it, you know, so quickly. And I think that's because at Oklahoma State, he was playing at such a high level. He improved so much, and that's what happened. But you have so many examples, right? I mean, all the guys like Somdev Devarman in this country, even before Mahesh Bhupati, you have examples of guys who've done it. I'm never going to tell a guy that the only way to go pro is to go through college tennis. Obviously not. But I think it's a route. And I think if you're able to do something like those guys I've just mentioned, it's also really smart financially, because the whole point is to spend as little time as possible in the futures, right? So if you can improve that much, you get a scholarship for 4 years, you pay very little or nothing, and then you play on the tour, and it takes you just 1 or 2 years to really make it to, say, top 4.
Slightly bad connection for Alex, I think. He should be back with us. Well, to fill in, Alex, I don't know if you can hear me, but the thing is, the number of players who come back from the US and continue to play tennis and to make if there are 100 players who go to US on scholarships, we have like one player on an average, 1 out of 100 come back and then continue to play and then make it big. So that's not a very good number. If you want to turn pro, That's what I mean. If you are looking at, if you don't know, if you want to make it pro, and that stage, if you feel that, oh, do I have the game to make it big? And if you're not sure, and if you want to play it safe, then yes, US college is very good, because you get there, you get some training, you develop your game for the next 4 years, and then you also get to play a lot of matches. Then you start your professional career. But if you feel that you have it early on, yes. So Alex will be joining us back. He got bumped out.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Alex.
I don't know what happened.
Alex, I was just telling everyone that
I was hearing. Yeah, I was hearing actually. Yeah. And
the number of people.
Yeah. I think you make a good point, and I mean that's why even I was telling you I'm not the kind of person saying like, oh, this is the way to do it, right? The numbers show that you have more professionals who don't come from college, but I think there is a big misconception with people thinking that anyone going to college is going there to be pro. Now, if you take the numbers, you have so many players from, you were saying like out of 100 players in India, but it's the same out of 100 French guys or Portuguese guys. It doesn't matter. If you take 100 kids who go to college, you maybe only have 2 or 3 who actually have the potential to make it pro.
Yes.
Of course. Okay. So, and I think that's also what gives these results, and obviously if you are at a level, a junior level, which will take you to say an average Division 2 college, you probably don't have what it takes. I mean, I don't want to discourage the people, but you might have what it takes to be like 600 in the world one day, but not top 200 or play the Grand Slams. No. So I think that's what it is purely. I think most of the, and also, to be frank, you have a lot of players. I know top juniors, Europeans who went there and didn't go there with the means of being pro, in their personal dedication. They went there to enjoy life, study, play a bit of tennis, probably party a little bit and all that. And so when they come back, they shouldn't blame the system to say, oh, I didn't turn pro. No, it comes also from you and what you've done, for sure. And lastly, lots of players are actually, after the 4 years, deciding to not go pro, even if they might have the level, because they have a great degree, they have good opportunities to stay in the state, work. So they have different options, and that's what I like with this college tennis thing, is that you basically open up your options. When you're 21 years old, you have a degree in your back pocket for your after career or for right away if you don't want to go pro, or you can go pro and it's not too late. So I feel it just gives you more options. That's what I feel.
Yeah, but it's easy said for you, because you're a Grand Slam nation and you have a scores of players. You have like, I don't know, 10 now in the top 100. So it's very easy for you to say. And we are losing all our talents this way. They go to US and then they have this pressure of academics and studies. They need to balance this. This is one big problem that all my students who go there, they talk about this. About managing academics and studies is a problem. Unless you're very smart, it is difficult. The second thing is, when they get to the final year of college, there's a kind of pressure that you want to get a job now, otherwise it's going to be difficult a little later on. And then they kind of take this option because it's definitely easier than try to work hard and make it pro. So the problem for us in India is that we already have very few players who are trying to be professionals. And we have few players who are talented and we know that can make it to the top. And then 10 of these guys go to US, and only one of them is going to try. So, I'm just talking from the whole nation's point of view, not just an individual's point of view, because it's slightly different for France and India. So in Delhi, I think the connection is a little not so good. Okay. So there is somebody who asked me to mention 5 positives about going to US colleges. Okay, here it goes. I would say that if you're a team player, kind of gets you, pushes you, and makes you work harder, and it's easy for you to thrive there. Another positive will be everything is free. If you get a good scholarship and if you go to a good university, your training, your coaching, your academics, everything is free, which is actually very expensive. That quality, if you want to If you want to get it outside anywhere in the world, it's very expensive for you to spend. Yes, third one is the financial part. If you want to train up for the next 3-4 years, it's a good way to do it. So you can continue. Started up to the screen, yeah. You can continue playing tennis. So I mentioned 3. The option is that you're going to get somebody asked me to mention 5 positives about US college tennis. So I mentioned 3. I'm going for the 4th one. You can fill up if you have more. Yeah. The 4th one is that you're going to have a valuable college degree at the end of this. The 5th one is that you're going to get a lot of competition week in and week out at a very high level, like said. And this kind of competition is not that easy. Even if you go for futures, you play 1 week, you lose, then you're out, and then you have to wait for the next week. Here you have a team of very good players, and then you're also having a lot of friendly matches, a lot of competitions, and the match is happening every week. You're playing matches, which is just fantastic for development. So you can add some more if you want.
No, I mean, I didn't hear your first 3. Sorry. I guess you're right. The connection in Delhi is not good. Sorry about that. But no, I think on a personal standpoint, it's a great experience. As I was saying, it's an open-minded experience. You get to meet people from all around the world. Some of them your teammates, and you improve in tennis. You get a valuable degree, as you say. And for me, that's the way I felt. I decided not to try and go pro, you know, so I'm that example. But even some friends of mine who decided to try and go pro, we had the same feeling at the end that we had done our part. The studies was done. I mean, some decide to go on to do a master's or PhD, whatever. But at least we had an educational background for the future. And then we had the options. So that's how I feel. Now, just to add something on the whole, you know, how to make the choice and all. I hate to say that because ultimately in life, a lot of things come down to money, unfortunately. But going pro, sometimes I feel bad for players who call me at 21, 22 years old to go to college, and it's too late for them, right? Because of all the rules we might have a chance to explain. And I feel bad because they have a great level, but they're calling too late. They're making the decision too late. And some of them, they tell me, I ask them, why do you stop playing on the tour? And they tell me because they don't have the money, because they realize how expensive it is. So I think it's also our responsibility, coaches, agents, federations. I know in Europe, they're actually enforcing this more and more at the federation in France, in Portugal, is to try to educate the people, the parents, the players, on what it means to go pro, you know, how much does it cost? Because it's like having your own little company, right? Traveling the world, spending, and if you want to be professional, you travel with a coach. And I mean, you know all this, right? You travel on the ATP with your players. So I think some people just don't know and they don't realize the problem. So I think that must be why. I mean, I hear some of my players, I know that's why the parents decided, look, let's just go to college first, do one thing at a time, because we don't have the money ultimately to support you for 7-8 years. So better off you improve and you try to go pro at 21, 22, and then hopefully it takes you less time to break through. Yeah. Everybody's different anyway. It's case by case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So and also it all depends on how much work you put in, how much you picked up your game and your level while you're there or whatever, because that ultimately that's what matters. So if you can go through, like you said, win 6 to 8 futures in 1 year, then you already made it.
Exactly.
So that So we have a question for you from I think we're going to the real information that we can get out of Alex. Okay, we spoke about the pros and cons. We spoke about who should choose to go to US and who should what are the disadvantages for someone who's already doing well to go to US. We spoke about that. So you got to be clear about who's what are the advantages, and you got to know what exactly you want, and then you choose. And like you said, it's case by case scenario. So for the ones who want to go to US on a scholarship, somebody is asking, Bail Kush. So when should we think of planning and where to start from?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's the most important question, actually. My opinion, my advice is to get started with the process between 2 and 1 year before. 1 year being pretty much the deadline. So that means when you enter 11th grade, that's when you should start, or during your 11th grade. I don't think you should start before. It's good to think about it before, but you should start during 11th grade when you are 17, 16, 17 years old. And because the coaches start recruiting at that stage. They start looking at players when they enter 11th, and then they will sign players during 11th, 12th. So 2 years before is the right time to start.
Or you mean the coaches start looking at your performance when you're in 11th itself?
Basically, exactly. So basically, it's the coaches. It's a rule, okay? The US, the NCAA. We'll talk about this sports federation. Let's call them that way. They have a lot of rules, and actually, one of the rules is that the coaches cannot talk to a player, recruit a player before 11th grade. So anyway, they're not going to start before. But they're also not going to start before because, I mean, when you're in 10th grade, it's really far away from coming, right? More than 2 years before. So they want to see your level as close as possible, as the time you're going to arrive. So 11th, they start looking, and then it will depend on players. I mean, you take guys, I was seeing a picture, a question that we should answer after from Mansha. Hey man, who was #1 in India, top 100 junior last year, ITF junior. And I worked for Man, and he was a good example with a very good ranking, top 100 in the world junior. I mean, he got offers like very early on, because he already had that level. So coaches were interested in him already 1 year before he went there, 1.5 years before. But for some players who don't have these great results already in 11th, they shouldn't panic. They should start the process, take the different tests, get ready, get their name out there, get a recruiting video out there so that the coaches can know that they exist and they want to come. And then be patient, give yourself the time to actually improve your ranking, have good results, which are going to make the difference. What I'm trying to say is that it's good to start early, but you don't want to be signing with a school 1 year before just for the sake of it. Because if you don't have results, you're going to get an average school or not so good school, maybe with a very bad scholarship. So better waiting 6 more months and getting a better school and a better scholarship. Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about ranking in what? In what category? Where?
Yeah. I mean, so it's a big question. And the rankings, so you have... See, I don't want the players to be too obsessed with the rankings, because ultimately the coaches are going to look, and I know because I was a coach after I finished playing there. I coached in Division 1 in a different university. I coached a women's team, and I remember that we were with the coaching staff analyzing the results more than the rankings. Because and I know a lot of players, they'll try to go, who play, for example, the ITF, they'll try to go to so-called weaker zones where the level might be a little lower in the world to get points. And I don't blame them. And I think it's good to start with that to get points and therefore get entries in the tournaments. But ultimately, if you only build your resume and your rankings on that, the coaches are going to see where you got your points. So that's why I mean that the results are more important. I prefer a player who has a lower ranking, but has a few very impressive wins against very good players. That's going to matter most. Now to talk which rankings, the two ranking systems that are the most valued by the US coaches, apart from the American system that they know it's there, their tournaments, will be the ITF, International Junior Ranking, and it will be the European circuits, whether you play in Spain, in Portugal, in France, those countries, in Western Europe. The reason for that is very simple. It's because not only the level is high there, but the coaches have been recruiting so many players from these countries. So much are coming from there. So they are used to the level and the different rankings. And to tell you a funny story, when I started working for Indian players about maybe 5 years ago, the coaches in the US, knowing I was French, they were always asking me to give an estimated French ranking to the Indian players. You see, because they could understand what it would translate in terms of level. So I think definitely, those are the best two ways to do it. Now, you can also play the UTR tournaments. You can also play ITA tournaments, because ultimately, if you have good results in those, it's going to help you. But it's just so much harder when you just have, for example, an ITA national ranking. It's so much harder because the US coaches don't know the level, what it means. Being number 50 in India, they don't know what that means, what that translates into. And for them to not only take you on their team, but invest thousands of dollars of scholarship on you, you know, they need to be sure of your level. So, I mean, that's why I'm often coming to India and meeting the players and watching them play so that I can give, you know, lots of information to the coaches. Okay. But ultimately, they're going to want to see results to feel good about recruiting you. So yeah, playing all kinds of tournaments, any official tournament is going to help you, right? But the tournaments that are going to give you the best exposure are definitely international tournaments or in Europe. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, when you get there, you are going to play some reputed players, and when you have good match with them, that will count, isn't it? If you play a 3-setter and lose a close match, it still counts rather than 100%. Winning and having more ranking. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah. So if I was a coach,
I mean, it's sorry, Suresh, but it's funny you say that. But I'm currently working for an Indian player who lost who has, I think, no ranking ITF. No points in the ITF junior simply because he never played. And he played earlier this year at the ITF in Delhi, and he lost in 3 sets against a guy from Switzerland who is 60 or 65 in the world. Funnily enough, I work for this Swiss guy, but he lost in 3 sets. So he didn't even win, but like you said, it helped. I got messages from coaches right away who were asking me, oh, we saw this guy played a close 3-set against this top 100 player. So, you know, you're definitely right. And that's what I mean by results. You see, it's not the ranking that matters so much there. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so somebody is asking, this dude is unstoppable, is asking, what is the maximum age to apply for college tennis?
The maximum age. So it depends on the division you look for, okay? I'm going to break it down easily. You have 5 divisions, okay? 5 divisions. Look at those divisions as sports federations. Number 1 is NCAA 1. Then you have NCAA 2, NCAA 3, NAIA, and NJCAA. NJCAA, we call it junior college. The first 4 divisions I mentioned, academically, you do the same thing. You prepare a bachelor, which is in 4 years. I know in India, a bachelor would be in 3 years. The reason it's in 4 years in the US is because the first year, you take what they call electives. They are basically general classes that anybody has to take. Whether you study, like I did, business management or mechanical engineering, you're going to have to go through some general courses the first year, okay? Now, the last division, junior college, is only a 2-year degree. It's a plan B. But a good plan B, but we can talk about it after. The higher you go, so the closer you get to NCAA 1, the more strict they are with the rules of eligibility to basically qualify you, give you the right to play for one of the schools in the division. It's pretty strict. And so to answer that question, if you want to go to Division 1, you have to go there within 6 months after finishing high school. So that means for the ones who are finishing 12th grade right now, this spring, May, June, July, they either have to enroll in the US this coming August or in the Jan window, because you can enter there in August or Jan, okay? Now, if you go to Division 2, you have 1 year. So you can actually go there this coming August, Jan, or in August 2021. In NAIA, you can go up to 2 or 3 years. And in junior college, you can even go up to 23, 24 years old. Then it will just come down to what you've done, which tournaments you've played. They have different rules. So for a guy who has played pro after 19 years old, he can't go to junior college anymore. So it's not like fully flexible, okay? You can't show up there at my age anymore, but you can still go there much later. But if you want to go to the top divisions, you have to go right after or within 1 year. Yeah, after finishing high school.
Okay, so Nisha Garg is asking, how tough or easy is it to balance college studies and tennis at the same time?
Well, the answer is definitely, it depends on what you study.
That's a good point, yes.
I mean, it comes down to that. So all coaches are going to let you study what you want, okay? I don't know any coach who's going to say, no, you have to pick an easy major or anything. But I remember playing on my team, having a German teammate who was studying mechanical engineering, and he wasn't having the same life as me. You know, my undergrad wasn't so easy in business, but it seemed easy next to him, right? I didn't have to study as much. So I think depending on what you do, it's definitely more or less difficult. But overall, what people need to know is that in the US, they put money and support not for the student athletes, not just on the sports side by giving you like coaching staff, physio, and all the help of the world. No, they do it also academically. They care. They need you to graduate. They want that. And for that reason, they will give tutors, free tutors to help with the classes to the athletes, and they will have an athletic advisor, assigned for each team. So basically, if you're on the men's tennis team, you're going to have this person, athletic advisor, who's going to be there for the 9-10 guys on the team, making sure all the studies are going good. And if they're not, helping them, giving them support with a tutor. And so I just feel like they don't do the work for you. But as an athlete, if you show good attitude, goodwill, that they definitely help you. They helped me a lot. So I remember that. And so in that sense, it's definitely doable. I think it's easier than for some normal students who don't have that support in a way. So yes, the schedule is really tight because you go to class in the morning, you train in the afternoon. Sometimes, in the evening, you have another conditioning training or weight room, and then you have to study, and the next morning you go again. In the fall semester, the preseason, sometimes you'll have training at 6 a.m. before going to class. So it is tough. On the weekends, you'll travel with your team, playing tournaments. So it's definitely a busy schedule, but you have support around you to make it. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. So before you go, you got to be mentally prepared to put in that work. If somebody thinks like what Alex said, if you think that you're going to go there and party around and think that, it's going to be a culture where I'm away from my family and I can do what I want, then you're going to be completely lost.
Yeah.
And I've had players who really lost it out, and I've also had players who really made it big academically, and then they're doing extremely well. And very few actually tried to play tennis after. So that's the reason why I had these concerns about this thing. Okay, so we have another question. How important are the marks, grades for a good tennis player? Like what he's asking is Deepak Rosio is asking, do we have to focus on academics also before we finish school? Do the US colleges look for academic results as well as tennis results? Or if they do, what do they look for?
So to get recruited, what they're going to look at is your tennis level. That's the main thing, right? The coach is going to want to recruit you based on your tennis abilities. Now, having good grades helps. First of all, you need decent grades. You need to pass high school, have a decent SAT, the SAT test that everybody has to take in order to even be eligible and admitted into the division and then into a school. But then, if you really have good grades, not only you can access to the best academic schools potentially, but you can also get academic scholarship on top of the athletic scholarship. Now, the athletic scholarship package will always be potentially bigger than the academic. They have more funds on that side. But it's always nice when I have a player who scores really high on the SAT to be able to get an extra 5 or 10% scholarship based on academic aid, I mean, it adds up, multiplied by 4 years, it's a lot of money. So, but in terms of admissions, purely, you need to meet the minimum requirements, and then it's your tennis that does the rest, They're not going to recruit a great student over a tennis player who's much better, but doesn't have really good grades. They'll take the better player within a certain academic level, as I say.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So another question from Bale. She asked the question earlier. Now she wants to know, how should we apply? What are the best networks?
Say again?
How should we apply? What are the best networks? She's in the right place.
Well, I mean, you can contact me definitely. I mean, that's what I do. I think overall, you know, talking about me or other people who do that job, I would say the same thing is that I really think you need counseling, you know, because, and without even talking about all the different administrative things and that you need to do to get eligible and the admission, you need contacts, right? And, and ultimately the coaches, because nowadays with social media, if you play pretty good, you have good results, you'll have coaches approaching you and all. So sometimes players can feel like, oh, I can maybe do this on my own. Some will. Many of them that do that end up contacting me a year later because they want to transfer. Bless you, Fresh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bless you. No, I have every year players like that who contact me after one semester or 1 year telling me, hey, I need some help, I want to transfer, because they went on their own. And the problem with that is they don't, if you haven't been there like I have, I've been in the world of college tennis for over 10 years now, you don't know what you deserve, you know, with your level. And you don't know what you deserve in terms of school, but then in terms of scholarship. And I mean, I think most of the coaches are nice and genuine, but obviously it's also a business. They have a certain amount of scholarship available. If they can get a player for 20% scholarship cheaper, they will, right? But when that player is represented by an agent like me, they know they can't do that, right? Because they know we know how much they deserve, and the negotiation go through a professional. So I think that's why it's important to use a counseling, recruiting agency, however you want to call it. In my opinion, personally, I just love doing this job because, as I say, that I lived the experience as a player, as a coach, and those were the best years of my life. And so for me, it's still a way to kind of indirectly live this experience through my players. So I'm still in it, you know, every day working with it, and especially today with all social media, seeing them and their pictures and their adventures is just, it's amazing. So making a difference for them is great. So yeah, anybody who wants to contact me through the US Athlete Services page or my personal page, feel free.
Yeah, awesome. Adrit, hi Adrit, how are you? My students. He's not asked a question, just saying hi. Okay, we have Anushka asking. Oh, this is you have to really tell how advantageous it is for girls. You know, in terms of scholarship, how easy it is for girls to get scholarships. You have to really tell them. She's asking, what's advice for girls? Is it same as for boys?
No, girls, all the parents out there who have girls, well done. And for the one who have boys, too bad. Yeah, so now the reason I say that is because basically, if you take, this is only valid for the first division. All the other division is the same. You have the same amount of scholarship for men and women. Division 3, by the way, doesn't have athletic scholarship, so I won't really mention it. Though they have really high academic schools, that athletically it's not the same. Division 1, they have for a team of minimum 6 players, since in a dual match, you have 6 singles and 3 doubles. You need minimum 6 players on a team. You have for a men's team 4.5 scholarship allowed by the NCAA 1. And so that you have to dispatch amongst all the players. And for the women's, it's 8 scholarship. So obviously, if you get to Division 1, you are pretty much guaranteed to get a full scholarship on the women's side, whereas for the men's, it's nearly impossible because not so many coaches decide to give up a full scholarship to a player. Otherwise, they're left with only 3.5 to recruit another 6, 7, 8 guys, right? So it becomes difficult. Yeah. So more scholarships for the girls, definitely. I mean, and I guess an easier access to Division 1 because I also think the numbers are there. Less girls play tennis in the world. And so, yeah, it's a little bit easier. Less girls playing, more spots, more scholarships. Yeah, it's a bit easier. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the boys.
Okay, we have a Vikash Kundu.
I might. Sorry, Suresh, but I like the anecdotes, but I might explain to the people why is it like that. It's actually fair because people might feel like, oh, it's unfair. No, on the big picture, it's a very fair rule that the NCAA implemented. They basically want all the schools to give the same amount of athletic scholarship to boys and girls, and all the sports are mixed. besides one. I don't know if anyone can guess, or if you can guess, Suresh, the only sports in
Basketball.
college. No, basketball is mixed. They have men's and women's basketball.
Yeah.
Which sports do you think?
Football.
No, they don't. No, football.
No?
American football. American
football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and because an American football team has up to 120 players on the roster and 80 of them on full scholarship, the schools have to cut down the scholarships of the other men's teams and bump up the girls. So you take sports like tennis or golf, 8 full scholarship for the girls, 4.5 for the boys. Volleyball, soccer is often in Division 1 only for the girls team, so that overall you give the same amount of scholarship to boys and girls. So that's why.
Okay. Adrit is asking,
yeah,
how many ITF tournaments can you play in a year when you're in college? You're allowed to play, I know, but he wants to know how many are possible.
You don't have a limit in terms of rule. Now what happens is, you basically, some schools will take you during the fall semester. Some of the top schools, especially in Division 1, during the preseason, they'll take their players to some collegiate tournaments, but also to some futures, some ITFs. So you might, with your team, you might play 1, 2, or 3 ITFs. Then you have a 1 month, 3 to 4 weeks break around December and Jan, Christmas, where you don't really have time to play, I believe, or maybe 1 or 2. But then in the spring, you play the college matches. It's very busy from Jan till May. But then from mid-May till end of August, when you have to return, you have more than 3 months where you can play. So I have some of my players every summer. They go with their own teammates, actually, and they travel around Europe or anywhere, and they play future just to see how they're doing, check their level, basically, with the international standards. So you can do that. But I would say, to give a number, maybe you can do 10, 11 weeks in a year while you're in college. If you play in the summer, yeah, you can do that.
Okay, I'm going to answer this next one.
Yeah.
Shraddha Sahi is asking, should Indians think of climate suitability? Well, before you think about the players adapting to the climate, you have to think about how your children will adapt to the cultural change. That is going to be a huge shock for them. If your children have been brought up in an environment where it is very conservative and it's very protected, and he's not been allowed to socialize and fend for himself and travel alone, things like that, and when you send him and he's going to be alone over there and in a completely new culture, he needs to adapt to that. And if he behaves in a different way, not socially acceptable, he's going to be picked on a little bit here and there. So there's a lot of issues that you need to prepare him before you send him. The most important thing is you need to prepare him for the culture that he's going to face there, rather than the climate. The climate is, you wear more clothes, you'll be fine. What do you think? Yeah. Well, your opinion on that, Alex?
My opinion?
Yeah. See, you're from.
I'm losing you, Suresh. Can you hear me?
Alex is out again. So we have Vishal Subramaniam, also my favorite student. He's asking if you're confident getting into the top 100 or 200, should you go to college?
Yeah.
So, so when you say confidence, if you're working towards getting into the top 100, you believe that you have the capability, and if your results are also having something to reflect on that, then in my opinion, my personal opinion, you want to start playing the futures already, because you want to, junior when you're 21, 22, 23, and then make the jumps from there to get to the top of the 200. So if you go to college, you're deferring it the whole thing by 4 years. Basically saying, I would train for another 4 years, develop my game, then come.
Can you hear me, Suresh?
So if that is the case, you go to college. If you feel you're ready, then the best is to go start playing the futures at 89, I would say. But then again, you have other issues like financial issues, things like whether you have to take up a US college degree is definitely valuable. But in these days, going
college degree in India and US, I don't know how much difference it is because there's so many options, to take care of yourself later on. Is opening up, and it is not an issue like how it was 20, 30 years ago. In these days, the options to make a life for yourself is completely, what do you say? It's multiplied, I would say.
Can you hear me, Suresh?
No. So, you have any other questions?
Yeah, Suresh. I'm breaking up, Suresh.
Expressions, yes, we'll be sharing this video. I know Alex gave a lot of information and it is not just assimilated. We will put it up on the, I'm sure IT will put up this later for sure.
Can you hear me, Suresh? I think I'm having some trouble to hear you. Can you hear me? And some people are writing the same thing.
The scholarship available for Indian students, yes. Yes, it is definitely available.
Suresh, can you hear us? It seems like your connection might be playing up.
Questions that I would like to answer.
Suresh, can you hear me?
Vikas Kundu is asking, hi Alex. Alex, this question is for you. When you come back, you can answer. He's asking, is COVID-19 going to affect the scholarships?
Yes, a lot of things. But we don't know how much yet, so we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if Alex will also be able to explain that clearly, but he can give us opinion.
Hey guys, I'm going to message Suresh on WhatsApp and see if he can do that and record.
I don't know if,
yeah. Can you hear me?
Alex, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here. I mean,
you can hear me or not?
No, we can't hear you really well, and people were writing that they couldn't hear you. So I don't know if they were asking if you could reconnect or something.
The minimum age for applying is not a very simple question. Many people are asking the same question. What Alex said was if you're applying for the Division 1 college, then you need to apply after you finish your high school. Once you finish 12th standard, you have to apply within the next 6 months. You have an opening in August and you have an opening in January after you finish your 12th standard, and you have to apply within that. If you don't do that, then they have a rule that you cannot apply for the Division 1 colleges. And for the other colleges, he gave a trickle down for the 4 different systems, and you could probably replay the video to get that information. Alex, you have to reconnect. So you should be with us in a minute, I think. Yes. I'm sure he's reconnecting. We still have some time. Yeah, I can read the messages, Alex. I sent you the...
Suresh, can you hear me?
What is not here, Rami? Rami, Ponti.
Suresh, can you hear us?
You can't hear me?
So, Suresh,
I didn't explain it very well.
You need to reconnect, Suresh. Suresh, I don't think he can hear me. I mean, I could answer some of the questions, definitely. I'll do it in a second, but I just like him to reconnect. Suresh.
Okay, I'm going to log.
Yes, I think he's going to do it now.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. So I will end and we'll reconnect, Alex.